Who was Balto? Balto was a Siberian husky born in 1919 in Nome, Alaska. Unlike many racing and sled dogs, Balto was considered an average sled dog. He wasn't the fastest, nor was he the most aggressive or dominant. In fact, his breeder and owner, Leonhard Sapala, initially did not think highly of him. Balto was built for endurance rather than speed, making him more suited for heavy freight work than the grueling, fast-paced sled dog racing Sapala specialized in. For years, Balto was a secondary team dog, working in the shadows of Sapala's legendary lead dog, Togo, who was widely regarded as one of the best sled dogs of his time. Of destiny, however, would come in 1925, when he would prove everyone wrong and become an unexpected hero. The diphtheria outbreak in Nome. In January 1925, Nome, Alaska, faced a diphtheria outbreak, a highly contagious and deadly bacterial infection, especially for children. The town's only doctor, Dr. Curtis Welch, discovered the first cases in late 1924, but the town's only supply of diphtheria antitoxin had expired. Without treatment, the disease would spread rapidly. Nome was in a race against time. The only available serum was in Anchorage, Alaska, 674 miles away. Because of the brutal Alaskan winter, with minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures and hurricane-force winds, ships couldn't sail, and planes were grounded due to ice-clogged engines. The only option left was Alaska's trusted method of transportation: dog sleds. A relay system was planned. 20 mushers and their over 150 sled dogs would work together, covering the distance in record time. The serum run begins, January 27, 1925. The Great Race of Mercy began on January 27, 1925. A train transported the serum as far as it could to the town of Nenana, nearly 700 miles from Nome. From there, the sled dog teams took over. The relay system. Each musher was assigned a stretch of the journey, with teams running between 18 to 50 miles each. This plan allowed for speed while preventing exhaustion. Among the most legendary mushers was Leonhard Sapala, who ran the longest and most dangerous stretch of the journey, 260 miles, with his world-famous lead dog, Togo. Togo and Sapala crossed the Norton Sound, a treacherous frozen bay, in blistering cold, something that no other team in the relay had to endure. Many experts believe Togo was the true hero of the serum run due to his unmatched endurance. How Balto entered the story. Balto was part of Gunnar Kassen's sled team, which was scheduled for a short stretch near the end of the run. Initially, Balto was not Kassen's lead dog, but when the storm worsened and Kassen struggled to see through the blizzard, Balto took charge on his own, leading the team through whiteout conditions. Kassen had originally been supposed to pass the serum to another team, but due to the storm, he decided not to stop and pressed on all the way to Nome. This meant that Balto and his team ran over 53 miles, far beyond their expected stretch. Balto's most dangerous challenges. Balto and his team encountered several life-threatening obstacles, including zero visibility in a blizzard. The storm reached such intensity that Kassen could not even see his own hands in front of him. The sled could have easily gone off course, but Balto miraculously kept them on track. The frozen Topcock River. One of the most dangerous parts of the journey was crossing the Topcock River, where thin ice could crack and send the entire sled into freezing waters. Balto sensed the danger and carefully led the team across the fragile ice. The near loss of the serum. At one point, hurricane-force winds knocked the sled over, throwing Kassen into the snow. The serum canister was buried beneath a snowdrift, and Kassen had to frantically dig it out with frostbitten hands before continuing. Despite these obstacles, Balto never stopped moving forward. The arrival in Nome, February 2, 1925. At 5:30 a.m. on February 2, 1925, after nearly 127.5 hours of nonstop travel, Balto and his exhausted team finally reached Nome. The antitoxin was still frozen solid in its container, undamaged. Dr. Welch and his staff immediately began treating the infected children. The town of Nome had been saved. Fame, controversy, and Balto's later life. Instant celebrity. Balto became an overnight sensation. The press hailed him as the hero of the serum run, and newspapers across America praised him. A few months later, Balto and his team were taken to the lower 48 states, where they starred in a nationwide tour. Balto even attended the opening of his own silent film in Los Angeles. The controversy: who was the true hero? Despite Balto's fame, many mushers argued that Togo and Sapala had done more of the work, covering the longest and most dangerous leg of the journey. Sapala himself felt Togo was unfairly overlooked, later saying, "Balto was just in the spotlight at the right time. Togo did the real work." Even so, Balto's bravery and leadership in the final stretch ensured that the serum arrived Balto's later years. After his brief fame, Balto and his team were sold to a sideshow in Los Angeles, where they were poorly treated. The dogs were chained up, forced to sit in small cages for people to gawk at. Fortunately, a Cleveland businessman named George Kimball saw their plight and launched a fundraiser to save them. Within weeks, thousands of school children and citizens donated enough money to bring Balto and his team to Cleveland, Ohio. Balto lived the rest of his days in the Cleveland Zoo, where he was well cared for. He passed away peacefully at age 14 in 1933. Balto's legacy. Balto's memory lives on in multiple ways. 1. The Central Park statue. In 1925, a bronze statue of Balto was erected in Central Park, New York City, with the inscription, "Dedicated to the indomitable spirit of the sled dogs that relayed antitoxin 600 miles to the relief of stricken Nome in the winter of 1925. 2. Balto's preserved body. Balto's body was preserved and is on display at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, where visitors can still see him today. 3. The Iditarod Race. The legendary Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race, held annually in Alaska, was inspired by the route taken during the Serum Run. 4. Balto, 1995 animated movie. Balto's story was adapted into the 1995 animated film Balto,